Welcome to the EVWEB training module M3d, Create and Send iCSRs using EVWEB. The target audience for this training module are national competent authorities, marketing authorization holders, sponsors of clinical trials, research institutions and academia. Following the completion of this training module, you should be able to understand the features in the Create and Send iCSR section of EVWEB, how to create an iCSR using the EVWEB tool, how to validate and correct issues before sending an iCSR created in the tool, and finally how to send an iCSR after completing it. For this part of the training course, we'll be demonstrating using the Create and Send section of EVWEB. This course assumes that you have already followed the introduction to EVWEB. In order to start creating an iCSR for sending to another organization, select New. The screen will now display a tree view on the left, showing the sections of the iCSR message, and allows you to navigate through these sections. The area on the right side of the screen shows the fields for data entry. The application will show mandatory fields in red. These mandatory fields will also have a warning triangle on the right-hand side. If you hover your mouse over the triangle, it will provide some more information about the business rule that is being applied to that field. The grey fields are automatically set by the system and cannot be edited. Blue fields are usually optional, but can become mandatory depending on the completion of other fields. The first section that will be displayed is the message header. The message header is used for the administrative information about the submission, including the intended receiver. The field message type has two options available: ICH iCSR, the default option that should be used for normal submissions. The backlog message type should only be used with prior agreement with a regulatory authority. It is normally only used for requests from regulatory authorities to send historic data. So leave the message type as ICH iCSR. The batch number field allows you to track a submission through EVWEB. It is therefore recommended that you create unique values for your submissions. So if you need to contact the service desk for support, you can quote this number. It is useful to use the date within the field, as this helps you with the tracking. But also remember to put a sequence number or some additional number on the end, just in case you send more than one message within the day. The batch sender identifier is set automatically by the system and will match your logged on organization information. The batch receiver identifier is the organization that you wish to receive this message. Select the organization after typing in their name. We have now completed the safety report message. The next step is to complete the information about an iCSR. From the tree view, select the safety report. This will show the administrative information that needs to be completed for the iCSR. The first field is the safety report number. This field, along with the worldwide case ID, are the important administrative fields that links the current submission to previous submissions and to any follow-up cases. The sending organization is responsible for assigning the safety report ID. The first organization to create an electronic E2B version of the iCSR is also responsible for assigning the worldwide case ID. That is captured in this field. If a worldwide case ID has already been assigned by another organization, this ID must be preserved and used by any other organization that forwards this iCSR onto other recipients. Failure to do this will cause the iCSR to be potentially duplicated in other people's systems, leading to additional administrative burden and could affect signal detection activities. The format of these fields are set by the ICH E2B specification, and these should follow the format of country code of the primary source, organization name or identifier, followed by the unique number used within that organization's own systems. This format is to ensure that all organizations can create unique case IDs internationally that no other organization could also create. Failure to follow this can lead to two or more organizations creating the same worldwide case ID for different iCSRs, and this can cause administrative issues for the organizations receiving those iCSRs. I will now enter the case identifier for this example iCSR, taking the organization name as the middle part. The next field to complete is the report type. So for sending cases to the post-authorization module, spontaneous will be the normal field to choose, will be the normal value to choose. Reports to the clinical trial module always have reports from studies. However, post-authorization observational studies can also take this value. The report type other is used in the case of literature articles where it's not clear that the literature article has come from a study or from a spontaneous report. And not available to sender is if you received information from another organization and they haven't informed you whether it's spontaneous or other. The first received date and last received date are the fields used for 7, 15 or 90-day reporting compliance calculations. So these fields are very important to record correctly. The first received date is used to capture the first date you received the information to be able to create a valid iCSR for submission. For initial reports, the first received date and also the last received date will be identical. When creating a follow-up iCSR, the first received date should not be changed. However, the last received date should be updated to reflect when new information about the case has been received. Before entering the date, you will need to inform the application about the level of precision you wish to use. The minimum and default precision is day. However, the iCSR standard does allow more precise information to be captured by the creator of the iCSRs if they wish to. You can either enter the dates manually or use the calendar selector to select the precise date. If you press the Now button, the information will be completed with the current date. You can also copy and paste the information if needed into the other field. If you hold additional documentation about the case, such as lab test data or a copy of the literature article, this can be indicated in this field. If you don't have additional documentation, select No. Details and copies of the articles and other documents can be captured in these sections that we'll cover later on. For submission of iCSRs to user vigilance, the fulfill local criteria will always be yes. The field Other Case Identifiers is used to indicate that this report has been referred to in the past with a different case identifier. For instance, reports received previously on paper that have paper reporting numbers assigned to them. Details of these other case identifiers can be captured in this section shown on the tree view. The use of the report nullification and report amendment will be covered in a separate training session. The message identifier is the same information that's captured in the safety report identifier field. So for the moment, copy and paste the information into the field. As this case is also the first time it's been created electronically, copy the case identifier into the worldwide case ID. And then in this example, the organization that was the first to create this iCSR was the marketing authorization holder, so capture the first sender as other. We have now completed the administrative information for this iCSR. The next section in the tree view is linked reports. These can be added by pressing the Add button. This field is used to capture identifiers of other reports or cases that warrant being evaluated together with this iCSR. For example, this includes parent-child reports and literature articles where there are more than one case being reported. It is important to note that the worldwide case ID of these linked cases should be used in this field. More than one linked report number can be added by using the plus button. You can use the dustbin icon to remove the repetition of the field. The next section is literature references. Again, you can use the plus button to add if applicable. And you have the following fields: literature reference field, which is a text field, and the possibility to make an attachment of the actual literature article if required. The literature reference should be provided in the Vancouver style. Literature attachments are added by selecting the Open folder icon, selecting the document of interest. Please refer to the European Implementation Guide for E2BR3 to find out the supported document types. You can add additional literature references and articles by again using the plus button if applicable. Different types of documents can also be attached to the iCSR, such as hospital discharge summary notes. For example, lab test results could be attached to the iCSR. So a title for the document being attached should be given. Files are attached in the same way as done for literature articles. In this case, I'm not going to add one. I'm going to remove the document by using the remove button, and we will continue to the next section. As mentioned previously, other case identifiers is used to capture other case identifiers associated with this iCSR, either electronically or on paper. The next section is where the structured information about the patient is captured. Under the patient, there are repeatable sections to capture information about the suspect and concomitant drugs being taken by the patient medical and drug histories, the adverse drug reactions experienced by the patient, and any lab tests which are relevant to the case. In addition, two optional sections can be added through clicking on their icons in the patient tree view. These are the patient death section and the parent section for parent-child reports. The first field in the patient section is the patient initials. The full name of the patient should not be provided. However, if the initials of the patient are known, they should be provided if possible in order to help with duplicate case identification. If the initials are not known, please select Unknown from the null flavor option list. If null flavors can be used for a specific field, they are indicated by the symbol O with the line through it. If the patient initials are known to the sender, but the sender is unable to provide them due to local data protection legislation, the null flavor mask can be selected. In addition to the patient initials, the medical record number, specialist record number, hospital record number, and patient investigation number can be provided. If you are unable to provide this information due to local data protection restrictions, you can select the null flavor masked. In clinical trials, the patient investigation number can be captured in a structured way within this field. The patient's age can be captured in three fields. The most precise information is the patient's date of birth, and the least precise is the patient's age group. You do not have to complete all three fields. However, you should complete the field that matches the most precise information you hold. The patient's age at the time of the reaction can be captured in years, months, weeks, days, hours, and decades. In principle, children under 2 years of age should be captured using one of the more precise units. The gestation period is used to capture information about when the reaction reported was observed in the fetus. Again, the most precise unit available should be used depending on the information available. If only general information is known about the patient, the age group can be selected for the patient. The weight of the patient can be captured in this field, and the units are kilograms. Likewise, the patient's height is captured in this field, and the unit is centimeters. If you're not sure of the unit, you can always go to the contextual help and select the field to be reminded of what the unit is for these set fields. The patient's sex should always be captured if known. The last menstrual date field can be useful for parent-child cases and in principle should only be completed if medically relevant for the case. The medical history free text field can be used to capture additional medical history information that cannot be captured in the structured fields. Please note, structured information should always be provided when possible. The tick box concomitant therapies is used to indicate that the patient has received non-pharmaceutical therapies such as surgery or radiotherapy. Drug therapies should be captured in either the drug or the past drug therapy sections. The drug section is next. Information about suspect, interacting and concomitant drugs being taken by the patient are captured here. An interacting drug is also a suspect drug. In situations where a drug-drug interaction is suspected, one of the drugs is normally captured as suspect, and the other drug that is perceived to be interacting with it is captured as the interacting drug. If this is not known or clear, then both drugs can be captured as interacting. A concomitant drug is any other drug not considered to be involved with the reaction occurring to the patient. This drug would have been taken at the time of the reaction or in the period of time leading up to the reaction. If other drugs were taken well in advance of the reaction and were unlikely to still be present in the patient at the time of the reaction, these drugs should be captured in the patient past drugs section. The drug name section captures the product name as reported by the primary source. Generic substance names can also be chosen. The field is free text, however selecting a term from the EVWEB list is preferred. The drug name parts will be important once the ISO IDMP standard is implemented and available for use in iCSRs. Guidance on the usage of these fields will be provided in the future. For now, these fields can be left blank. The obtain country is used to capture information about where the patient obtained the drug. This should only be completed if the information is known. Blinded flag is used to indicate that the drug has not been unblinded. However, you should note that currently only unblinded SUSAR cases should be sent to EVWEB's clinical trial module. The authorization country, authorization number and authorization holder provide information about the medicinal product and should only be completed if this information is known from the information provided. These fields should be left blank in all other situations. The cumulative dose, along with its unit, is used to capture the amount of drug that the patient was exposed to before the reaction occurred. Gestation period and gestation period interval are related to parent-child reports and give information as to when during the gestation period of the fetus the exposure occurred. The action taken field captures information about what the healthcare professional or consumer has done in response to the adverse drug reaction experienced. This can be, for example, that the drug was withdrawn or stopped, or there was a reduction in the dosage. The additional text field is used to capture any other additional information that might be relevant for the drug. Please refer to additional guidance documents and to the contextual help for more information. Within the drugs section of the iCSR, there are subsections that are repeatable. The number highlighted shows how many repeats of a section there are. To add a new subsection, press the plus button. The active substances within a medicinal product can be provided. However, in most situations, the substance name and its strength do not need to be provided. Please refer to external guidance documents to find out the situations where substance information is needed. A repeat of a subsection can be removed by using the dustbin icon. The next section is the dosage section. The dosage section of the medicinal product is now a repeatable section within the new iCSR. This enables the capturing of changes to the dosage or different batch numbers without having to repeat the whole drug section. The way of capturing dosage information has also changed in the new standard, as the information is represented in fewer fields than used for E2BR2. "50 milligrams once a day is represented as shown on the screen. If the dosage information is that the drug was given twice a day, the information should be represented as once every 12 hours. A drug given 3 times a day would be represented as every 8 hours. And a drug given 4 times a day would be represented as a drug being given every 6 hours. The start and stop dates are used to capture the information for this specific dosage and batch used. The precision of these date time fields can be set down to the seconds for short periods of exposure if needed. However, the default of day should be used in most situations. If the patient has not stopped taking the drug, the end date should be left blank. The drug administration duration should be completed if this is known, and the precise dates and times, if applicable, are not known. Otherwise, they can be left blank. The batch lot number field is mandatory for all suspect drugs, since there is a legal requirement to follow up the batch number if the suspect drug is a biological. If information is not known, please select the appropriate null flavor. In most situations, unknown will be suitable. However, if it's biological, you may wish to capture the fact that a follow-up has been attempted, but there's no information being provided yet. The dosage form text captures the information as reported by the primary source. The route of administration text is used to capture the free text information as reported by the primary source, and the structured field below enables the precise term to be selected from the available list. The parent route of administration information will be covered in a subsequent training module where specifically parent-child cases will be covered. For medicinal products and advanced therapies that contain device components, the information about the batch number can be captured in the device components repeatable section. The component name should be entered in the free text section, and the batch number concerning the component should be recorded in the field below. The next repeatable section is the drug additional information. Within here, you can provide information about this particular medicinal product, whether it was suspected as being a counterfeit medicine or being used in an overdose, and also whether it's implicated in a medication error, misuse, or abuse of the product. Please refer to external guidance on the use of this field. The next section is the drug indications. The free text field enables the capture of the information as provided by the primary source. The indication should also be provided as structured information using MedDRA. It is possible to add multiple indications for the same drug if needed. We'll cover the drug reactions later, as we need specific reactions added to the case before we can add the linkage between the drug and the reaction. The next section under the patient is the medical history. In this section, you can capture relevant medical events in the patient's past, but you can also capture concurrent conditions and family history of the patient. Precise dates are not required, so the date precision can be set to years or years and months. If the condition is concurrent at the time of the report being made, select Yes in the Continuing field. The Comments field can be used to capture additional information about the condition being captured here in this section. The Family History flag can be used to indicate that the condition being reported in this section relates to the patient's family history. The next section is the Patient Past Drug section. This section is used to capture relevant past exposures to drugs. This section is not for concomitant drugs that were taken at the time of the reaction or within a period before the ADR occurred. The general rule is that if a drug could still reasonably be in the patient at the time of the reaction, then it should go in as a concomitant drug. In other situations, it should be captured in the Patient Past Drugs section. The drug name as reported should be captured in the drug name field. As with the drug section, the drug name parts do not need to be used at this stage. Further guidance will be provided on the usage of these fields once ISO IDMP is implemented. If the start and end dates are known, they should be captured in the relevant fields. It is possible to change to year, month, or just the year if the precise dates aren't known. The next section below the patient past drug is used for capturing the indication. In addition to the indication, past reactions to those drugs can be captured. As with the drug section, it is also possible to capture the information about the past drug substances. It is not a mandatory section and does not always need to be completed. The next section in the tree view is used for capturing the reactions experienced by the patient. At least one reaction is required, however additional sections can be added if the patient experienced more than one reaction. The first field is used to capture the reaction text provided by the primary source in the native language. If this field is completed, the language should also be captured. The reaction translation text should also be completed into English if the reaction native language was not English. The reaction should also be coded using Medra. The term highlighted field is mainly used in other ICH regions and is not required for reporting in the EU and can be left blank. One of the main changes going from E2B R2 to R3 is that seriousness has moved from case level to reaction level. The options are yes, no, and no information. The no information is used to indicate where there's not enough information to determine that that specific classification of seriousness can be set as yes. The business rules require that a yes, no, or no information must be set for each of the seriousness criteria. The reaction start and stop dates allow the precision to be recorded down to the seconds if relevant, and if the full dates and time are known. If the start and end dates are known and provided, the duration does not need to be calculated. The next field is used to record the outcome if known for the reaction. The outcome is a mandatory field and must always be completed. In situations where the primary source of the report is not a healthcare professional and the reaction has been subsequently confirmed by a healthcare professional directly or indirectly through documentary evidence, the medical confirmation should be ticked. In situations where a medical professional has reported the case, the field should be left blank. The reaction country is used to capture the information about where the reaction occurred. This field only really needs to be completed when the patient was travelling and is different from the country of the primary source. The next section is the tests section, where relevant lab and medical tests are captured. The date of the test is required, although the precision only needs to be the year. The test name field captures the free text, lab or procedure name. The measure name for the test is required for all tests. If the measure test name is identical to what has been reported, you don't need to copy the information into the free text test name. The structuring of test results depends on the type of test and how its results are expressed. The test results code is used to capture tests where the results are reported as being positive, negative, borderline, or inconclusive. Test results that are reported in physical quantities needs to use three fields to capture this information: the quantity operator, the test result value, and the test result unit. The quantity operator indicates a precise result as equals. The remaining operators indicate a result below or above a set threshold. The unstructured result field is used to capture the information that cannot be represented in the two alternative structured ways. Only one of these three ways of capturing the result can be used at any one time. If the lab high and low values are known, these can also be captured. The comments field is used to capture any additional information about the test that has been performed. If the source information or documentation is held by the sender of this iCSR, e.g. an X-ray or ECG, more information available box can be ticked. The sender section is automatically populated with the sending organization's registration information, so no data entry is required for this part of the iCSR. For observational studies and clinical trials, the studies section should be completed. A separate training course will cover the specifics of creating iCSRs for these types of studies. The summary section contains the case narrative in English, as well as the reporter's comments and the sender's comments. The case narrative should be focused, factual, and provide a clear description of the case. The reporter's original language comments are provided in the summary reporter's comment, which is a repeatable field. When providing the case summary in the reporter's native language, you must also select the language that it has been provided in. The sender's diagnosis field is used for the sender of the iCSR to provide their own diagnosis of the signs and symptoms experienced by the patient. The diagnosis is a repeatable field and uses MedDRA. The reporter section captures the details of the primary source of the iCSR. The contact name and address can be captured, however these fields can also be masked with an appropriate null flavor. Only the reporter's qualification and country are mandatory fields. At least one primary source must be marked as the primary source for regulatory purposes. Please note, if the primary source country is Spain, an additional business rule is in the EU implementation guide. This requires that the province state of the Spanish case must be also captured. Now that we've added a reaction, we can return to the suspect drug section in order to add a drug reaction section. The first set of fields are used for capturing intervals of time between the starting of taking the drug and the event occurring. The interval last time is the time between the last dose of the drug and the start of the reaction. The reaction reoccur administration provides information about if a rechallenge was performed and if that reaction reoccurred or not after the rechallenge. The appropriate values should be chosen from the drop-down list, if applicable. The first field to set is which reaction is being linked to this drug. A drug reaction assessment can be added within this section. These are either to be done using the ICH free text fields or the structured EU assessments. The choice box will toggle between the two options. The EU assessments can be used for either post-authorization iCSRs or clinical trials SUSARs. There is a binary choice between the results of the assessment, so it's either reasonable possibility or no reasonable possibility. Additional assessments can be added as needed. We have now completed creating an iCSR. So the next step is to validate the iCSR to ensure that there's no errors in what has been entered. The validation result will return information about any business rules that have not been fulfilled. If you click on the link provided, it will take you to the part of the report where the issue has been found. The screen will highlight to you which field needs to be set to fulfill the business rule. Once you've made the changes, press the Validate button again and confirm that there's no issues with the file. Then it's always good practice to save a local copy of the XML and then validate and send the iCSR. The system will confirm that the message has been sent. If you navigate to the web trader and go to the outbox, you will see the file that has just been sent. So to summarize in this training session, we have learnt how to create an iCSR using EVWEB and perform a validation and correct any issues before the sending of the iCSR. Thank you for your attention.